talking to Arthur Benjamin, whom we had no difficulty in finding after all these years, and we were very happy to see him. Good enough?
Very good.
Arthur Benjamin,
Yes. Yes.
did you find the space, or did the space find you?
I found the space. For a number of years, I found the space, and then after that, the space found me. Now, that's very strange thing to say. I heard about the space when it opened. And my first phone call was, may I come to the space? And the reply was, come and see. So I went and I saw. Just trying to think, what did I see? I can't remember what I saw first. I can't remember what I saw first. I think it may have been Superman with Bill Curry, all dressed in silver. May have been that. But I have to come to a play in which you were, because like I told you before, and I'm telling you now again, that performance, that play, and by performance I mean you and Yvonne and Bill Flynn and I don't know who the other brother, Peter Piccolo, was it? Yes, you people changed my life actually. I spent about 3.5 hours in the theatre. I had to walk home, by the way, from Cape Town to what was then Bridgetown, where I stayed. And but I was with a friend, and we chatted all the way, all along the main road, all along Settlers Way into Bridgetown that morning.
What is the name of the play?
Long Day's Journey into Night. Yeah, an amazing play, And maybe he was telling me about my own life, actually. I think it was at that stage.
So you say you walked back afterwards? Why was that?
Oh, it's too late to go home. There's no bus, there's no train. It was, we left the theatre, I think it was about 12:10 at night. Well, so it was the morning. So, by the time we left the theatre, because we still wanted to mingle with the people who were still in the foyer and hear what they had to say, because it was quite stunning, quite disturbing for our young minds. I was very young then. That's how I found the space. But when the space found me was, it took me 5 years after that to actually refuse a scholarship from the firm for whom I was working, engineers. They wanted to give me a scholarship to become an engineer. And I said, no, I'm going into the theatre. And I walked into the space. Apparently on holiday, on leave, and Brian Asprey said to me, are you on leave? So on the second day, he saw me in the office with Carol. Remember Carol?
What was it about Long Day's Journey that affected you, sir?
I think the tension between father and mother and father and sons. And that was exactly what was happening in my family, actually.
Were you impressed by the truth?
Very much so, because it was always up close. It's another thing.
Let's get back to Journey, I'll ask you how were you affected by A Long Day's Journey?
That play reminded me of my own life. It was what was happening in the play was the tensions between the father and the mother, and the father and the sons. Now, my mother wasn't a drug addict, but my mother suffered under my father, And I and my sister, we suffered under my father as well. Or so we thought, that was our experience. In the meantime, there's not much in the play and in real life to appreciate. about the Father, because there was also a kind of offering of the Father to us, which, if truth be told, was also in the play as well. Do you want me to go further into that with you or no? Can I tell you some more about my own life? When I say offering of my Father, I always remembered when I was 5.5, 6 years old. My father had a broken back and was in a plaster cast, and therefore couldn't work, but the mother worked. And a neighbor, a kind neighbor, right next door used to give us food. And my father always used to say, now leave the food until your mother comes home. And when she came home, he would say, Mary, I don't want anything to eat. You must share the food with yourself and the children. And I was young, but I had never forgotten that. So when in my altercations and my tensions with my own father, it was always at the back of my memory. It was always present that 5 days. It was 5 days that he never ate. He just drank water. And that play, in a sense, reminded me of the offering, the trying to make your sons into something. But because of your other side as a father, one of the sons would always follow in his footsteps. That's the drinking problem. Well, I never drank. So it wasn't that. I just hated my father for always being so mean to my mother.
We're impressed by the truth of the actors and the play itself at the space.
Very much, I think, yes, very much so. And that wasn't the only play that gave me that, because of how you sat so near to the actors. The actors could never fake anything. You were asked to, as an actor, to be so real. And I think it had a lot to do also with the choice of play, the physicality of the stage, and the nearness of the audience always dictated for me my memory as an audience member, how real the acting had to be always.
What are your other highlights, memories from plays that you saw at the space?
Can I start backwards? In the sense it is backwards. When the space moved from the Bloom Street area right into 44 Long Street, the first play I saw there was the very first play they had produced there, Endgame. And once again, it was an absurdist play, but this thing about being enslaved to another human being was being portrayed in real life also in South Africa. So the play had quite an impact on many people, besides myself, and also because it used people of the country to play in the play. In other words, Bill Curry playing the role of the, can I say, servant, and Keith Greenwell playing the part of the master of the house. It always, even that rang true. It rang bells for many of us. But then again, acting is a strange thing. You realize you're watching something that is not real, but is real. The situation is real, and somebody is just making it more real for you. Somebody called the actor making it more real for you. That's one. The other one that stands out for me is the short play, I think it was Barney Simon, Miss South Africa with Yvonne. I know it was done by Jackie as well, but I was the stage manager for the one done by Yvonne. And we would take it around to little places like Dyser House for the aged. And I remember we took it there one afternoon, and one old lady said, "Speak up, I can't hear." And so it's.
Going outside the theatre now, how did apartheid affect your life?
Oh, I lived in a dichotomy because if I said I suffered, I would say, yes, it's true. Then I would say, but it's a lie as well to say, yes, it's true. Because I had this balance that I could actually live apart and live with people who were not my color. Because I was allowed to, by the acceptance of me, to be part of them. And so I had a strange bring up. My father happened to be white, and that was the thing. My father was white. He was English and Irish, and my mother was the daughter of a slave from America and a black man who had a British father from Gambia. So I really was a mixture, and in some senses I was living the apartheid in my home, but because it was so near, I could actually almost contain it. When I reached the space, I reached the space in '72. It opened in March '72, and I think by the time 2.5 months, 3 months had passed, I reached the space. And I reached the space through a very dear friend, Jean Naidu, the late Jean Naidu. She and I, and many others of course, belonged to a film society, the Argo Film Circle, it was called. And we operated in a way that we made everybody a member. So that was the loophole in the law. And the space through Moira Fine asked us how was it possible. So we went into the space to show them, make everybody a member on the night, make them a member on the night. So that anyone could come and you were working within the law. And of course, that was my background. I was really mixing with people across the color lines. And it wasn't one, it was more than one. So it was like coming home. It was like the space was a haven away from home, my own home. And I met like-minded people who loved the arts, who felt that the arts were liberating, who in fact knew that the arts were liberating, who influenced me to actually work within the arts. And that's why I think I left when '72 came and happened, and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. At the end of 6, I thought, no scholarship for me. I'm going to the space to work full time.
What did you feel like working at this space? Did you feel fulfilled?
Very much so, and scared. Because I remember when Brian offered me the job, Brian said, "You must do everything." And I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "I mean everything. You have to act, you have to sweep the floors, you will have to paint, you have to construct, you must do stage management," which is all what I did. And it was showing me how my experience showed me how I could do things, even though I perhaps didn't believe I could. It actually gave you the chance to succeed or fail, and at many of those things I was actually very good.
I know you're very good at your job, and we know you had your little fits and so on, but we'll put up with it. I'd like to know a little more about Jean Naidu, because she isn't here to be interviewed anymore.
Yes.
And from so many people at this that we've interviewed already, they mentioned Jean Naidu, but we don't know Jean Naidu.
No. Jean Naidu was one of those politicos who believed that South Africa is for everyone. And Jean Naidu met me when I joined the Argo Film Circle. She was already a member of long standing. And she and her husband, Balu, they decided that I was worthy of cultivation. That was her term. So I didn't know what it meant until I realized she felt I could be of service to my fellow man here in Cape Town. And Jean Naidu used to tell me, come to the house, we want to talk to you. And I went to the house, and she decided that she and I would start a drama club based on the same system as the Argo Film Circle, and that is make every child a member. And Jean Naidu had lots of political activities involving getting people across the border into Namibia and what have you, which he never told me about. He says, what you don't know, you cannot say, and therefore you are safe. So Jean had this political life actively played out, and this artistic life, which led her to form the drama club with me. It ran for 4.5 years. She also involved Jane Raffaele, of Then Fair Lady, to get a drama teacher for the two of us. And there was a visiting lady from America who was in Johannesburg, and Jane flew her down. And I had to take leave for a whole month, and every day we went for training with Emily Principi. I'll never forget her, from Boston. And while she was still here, we opened our drama club to everybody. We made everybody a member, every child was a member. And Jean also wrote a play that put Solly-Philanda on the map for a group called Group 44, which was at number 44 Lawrence Street as an amateur group in the space, the theatre upstairs, the gym. They used the gym every Saturday, and that's where we first heard of Solly-Philanda and Ivan Abrams and Denise Newman and Sylvia Quibalana. Do you know this play called Political Joke? And they have the great Solly-Philanda making his debut. And yeah, so she's played a role. I know very little about her political role, except that she was honored by the late Dalai Lama, who thanked her for starting the neighborhood body in the area where he stayed. It's still going strong. When she had died, she'd been dead for 10 years, he organized a gathering for her, at which we had to do certain things. I did some of her poetry, which she wrote. She died at the age of 39. having an asthma attack in bed. She had 6 children, the eldest of whom died. Chimpy died of cancer. Balu has died. 2 years ago he died, the husband. So there are 5 children left. 4 of whom are in Johannesburg, and the one is a lawyer in Claremont, here in Cape
Now,
Town.
she was deeply involved in this space.
Yes,
Will you tell us about that?
yes. Let me go a bit backwards from the play she wrote. She wrote the play to be performed in one of the rooms at the space at 44 Long Street. It was set in a shebeen. So the audience sat in this room that was converted into a shebeen, and the actors were acting in and out of the audience, as part of the audience. She would run the group 44, on a Saturday afternoon in the gym at the space. She would be the person who made sure that there was always somebody on duty in the early days to make people members of the space theatre, so that everybody would be covered. Once the security branch would come and raid the place, everybody was a member, and there could be no fault attached to the space. So she was more, in the beginning, an admin person, but then she gave vent to her artistic abilities as well, and wrote this play. And
But even before that, I mean, she used to come to the space a lot.
yes, now we used to come together. She and Balu and the children, members of the Argo, we used to coming, and Yusuf Wadia, who was secretary of the space, of the Argo Film Circle, we always come together. She would, I think she was one of those stalwarts who made sure that when Winston Chona and John Carney came with Sibi Banzi is Dead, and what's the other one? The Island. And the island, that they were looked after and what have you. He was always in the background, but actually we knew what she was doing. So she was...
Brian told me that she used to come there just to be there, just to feel safe.
Yes, yes. She and I also were part of the Space Drama School. It was run by the space for about 2 years and a bit. Teachers. Yvonne used to teach us. Bill Kaiser teach us. Bill Flynn. Those are the main three. The main three to teach us. And it was run for people who lived on the flats, basically on the flats. Which meant that many of us stayed doing work with amateur groups on the flats as well, which led to me working, teaching for the space. I had to teach Chosen Few in Belhar, very well-known amateur group. And we used to enter competitions, and we won. We won. Our first major big competition was with Bisman and Liana, with permission from Ethel. So the whole thing is a spin-off. What she did always led to us still working. And us means people like Denise Newman, people like Sari Philander, people like Ivan Abrams. I'm thinking of other people now. I see their faces. I can't remember the names now.
Did you feel safe? Did you feel safe at this space?
I always did. It was almost like in a strange way, like we were part of and it was a fortress. It was if you didn't believe in the vision of the space, you didn't last long there. I noticed that some people would come in and not last long, so you forgot about them. Those who believe in the vision would stay, would work. Ben Decker, gosh, who said, I'm going to give you 2 years to work for free. I remember that. And he worked for free, but he worked for more than 2 years. And then he went to realize himself on the beach in the Eastern Cape. But people like that, they lasted.
What do you think? What do you did you feel a passion there, a passion for the truth, to want to speak out and?
Yes, yes. And therefore the space was for me the most courageous artistic space area to be. It was never afraid. It was never afraid. That's why we could have players banned and reply to those bannings in another play. Because I remember Brian concocting with many of us a play that had the title almost of every play that was banned in it. I can't remember the exact title now.
I think it was just after the Geese.
The Geese, yes. Now after the Geese, then he went to all the. I think it was by then it was five places that had been banned in his history, and then he did this concoction that, and I call it concoction because it actually showed you what was available in the country then. And he would have on display the magazines that were available with all the pornography of the time. And of course, that didn't make much money, but what it did was it made the papers sit up and report on what we were doing. And there were those fewish people who came to see it realized that actually they were living a lie. They're part of living with this lie. And I think the way we lived our lives too, I think they had a big influence on many people. It wasn't just the theatre, it was the people who were forming the theatre. Made a big impact on people. Till today, I think. Till today.
Your relationship with Brian, what did you think of him as a...
Brian, an amazing man. I think it's all in the statement he made me once. I said, I can't remember the context, but I said, oh, but a person can't know everything. And he said, but of course you can. You can know everything. And I took it as a challenge in the end because actually that is our task, is to know everything. It's actually true, is to know everything. And I knew, for me, what it meant also, not everything, thing. But if you know who you are, then you know everything. If you know who you are. And that was a big lesson for me. He also taught me how to be careful what you say. I remember one day standing just outside the balcony, so inside the theatre itself, and there was like a screech of a car, and I said, "Oh man, die!" That was Carol, who ran the box office, was a favorite statement, "Die!" And Brian said, "Oh no, don't have such thoughts." And I'm thinking of Brian, who has so much compassion And maybe that's why he started, or helped start the space. Maybe that's why. It's a compassionate human being.
You know what you say brings me right to the 2009 and Obama. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Wasn't that a thing at the space?
Yes. Nothing's impossible. You're right, we can. Yes, yes, Percy.
Did you think that when you got to the space, I mean, that it would change things, that it would make things that seemed impossible possible?
I think I came to the space knowing that it was ahead of its time in the sense that it was living what would come. The space was living what would come. And I think that kept me also going when Brian left and Brian said, please stay and help Rob Amato. And I stayed and helped Rob Amato until the end of the Beautiful Space. Because I think that was these were two different men with slightly different emphases. But the umbrella was the same vision. The umbrella was the same vision. And because I believed that I was living ahead of the time, because it had to happen. It had to happen. The space believed it had to happen. The space believed it had to happen, and I believe it had to happen, and our lives converged like that.
Were you glad to have found the space?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That experience tells me there's a lesson in that for the young people of today. I can't see people working for peanuts with this vision, just being forgotten. There are people doing the same thing in different ways today, also with a vision and working for peanuts. And unfortunately, that's what happens as part of your dues you pay. You pay dues. Some of us pay dues for a long time, others for a short while. And that's fine, that's right. My advice to young people is to pay your dues. Go and attach yourself to a theatre. I see the Baxter's got something like that, asking for volunteers. I read yesterday, asking for volunteers. Come and attach yourself to somebody, to some area in the Baxter. My advice is go and do it. Go and do it.
You sound like Brian Asprey now.
Yeah.
What would you say are the main elements at the space, that made this space so different? Was it a passion for the truth, or what was it that made the space so special?
I think in the passion for the truth, it took in anybody who shared that vision. And it meant that that we had priorities. It's a theatre. Therefore, the most important people to us would be serving the actors. So when it came to pay as well, we would say, first the actors, then the people who kept the place clean, and then people like Brian, Arthur. If there's no money, we waited. That was philosophy. It's a service, and in order to provide the service, make sure that the people who are providing the service are able to provide the service. So the peanuts that we paid you first had to be given to you if there wasn't enough. So there was compassion and understanding and insight into why we have a theatre. We have a theatre because there are actors. We have a theatre kept clean because there are people like Kathy and Marlizzie and Alfred. And yes, and so we've got to serve those people. And that meant that the people who came in, they also sometimes having to wait. Even they had to wait, even you had to wait sometimes. Meant that you also had compassion for the truth. Compassion for the truth. Because you're part of the truth.
You know, you think about it now. I mean, the actors who've moved on and where they are now. You remember? I mean, just about everybody who worked there seems to.
Yes, everybody. One or two have almost changed their area of activity, like Peter Piccolo, living somewhere in Eastern Cape, on a farm, I think. Who's another one? Somebody like Bill Curry is retired. Who else there? I'm trying to give the exceptions because the others are all gone and are acting. The acting and the directing. Marilyn van Rienen, Fred Abrams, Fiona Ramsey. Even before then, some have died, like, brilliant, Bill Flynn.
Richard E. Grant?
Richard E. Grant, goodness gracious. Yes. David Dennis of a latter part, actually coming into his own as film, TV and stage actor. Yeah, I mean, you name them, they're there. Denise Newman.
You mentioned 3 members of your drama group.
Yes.
And look where they are now.
Look where they are, yes.
What were their names?
Yeah. Sally Philander, Ivan Abrams, Denise Newman. We'll take those 3. Ivan Abrams is now gone. He's touring now with The Tempest, with John Carney and Anthony Sher. Solly's got his own little radio program now on Cape Talk, and he does his emceeing, well loved. Denise is going great guns with film and TV, great guns.
And Denise? Denise.
Yeah, she.
Just mention her name.
Yes, Denise Newman. Yes, she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in a series now, just now, for Riet Vastmark. Riet Vastmark, yeah.
What does it mean?
The people who made
Thatching?
yes, Riet Vastmark. So thatching, yeah, thatching, yes. Amazing thing. So she plays in Afrikaans and English. And I noticed in the last few years, Effa has used her a lot for his new plays. Yeah. And then there's Vernet Ibrahim also, who was a member of the space from the start.
Who's that?
Vernet Ibrahim. And she's got this big role in Sewende Laan, which is like a sitcom that we have here on TV.
Paul Slade?
Oh, Paul Slab is still writing too. He's got a new play now. It's quite amazing, actually. The people who have been part of, passed through, perhaps did one play, 2 plays, 4 with the space, and they're still working. And there's you. You haven't been forgotten.
But for me, the space for me was a turnaround in my life, I'd always been anti-apartheid. I always tried to help where I could.
Yes.
There came a moment where I saw the possibility of publicly doing it with the space where there were lots of us, and I had to make a decision. And that was a decision I made. I turned my back on publicly. I thought, I'm finished. I don't know how I'm going to support my family, but this is where I stand.
Yes.
There must have been a lot of people like that.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, we're not talking about me.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions you want to ask, Stan?
Well, again, the police. Did you, in the bannings or in the, was there any fear or any way that the feeling inside of you of fear as far as the bannings or the police sort of being involved in surveillance, things like that? And you can answer to this person.
I think there was, for me, there was always a fear that just maybe we haven't covered everything. Just maybe. Because even though they never raided where I started my existence with Africa outside my home, that is the Argo Film Circle, they never raided there. But this was a more public place. This was a public theatre. And if you didn't cover yourself well, and just maybe. So there was always that fear until I think probably until about when the move happened. And I thought, why should there be a fear? They've allowed to exist for 72, 73, 74, 75, 76. Fear went away.
So did your feeling being in the space change the way that you felt outside of the space?
Yes, that's a very important question to me. That is very. One thought that because there was this life in this space, because you would move with your whole crew together, you go to the Metropole Hotel, sit together there, and what have you. Because what's his name? Your friend also was an actor, amateur actor, opened the Midnight Grill and invited everybody into Sea Point. Everything was fine, and you lived in a funny way. You thought you were living in what it is now, what Africa is now. You thought you were living then, until you realized it's not so. It's not so that you still had to. I still had to return to Bridgetown where I was staying. I still had to, even though I never did it for years. You started to get a permit to enter. I had to get a permit to enter Lango to go and teach. I never took it out, but the fact remains I had to get a permit. That had to state till what time would you be there. I never took the permit. I went to Gugulethu to teach. I never took the permit. I went to Nyanga East to teach. I never took the permit either. So, in a way, the space was asked me to live then. What I thought should be for the whole of South Africa, but it wasn't really. So the reality would always hit me. Would always hit me.
Did you feel any, with the people from your community, was there any reaction to your being involved in the space that...
Yes. there was a mixture. Mostly people say, you're running a risk. And the more you explain that, look, come, become a member. When you come that night, become a member. Some of them did come. But the majority lived in fear. Fear was more. I'm talking about Bridgetown now, where I stayed most of my life.
Something totally new for you. A safe place where you could say what you like and
That's
and
right.
do what you like.
That's right.
Can you tell us that?
Yes. I have to connect that with my university experience. The first 2 degrees I did through UNISA. UNISA, up till then, was still keeping us apart when we did exams. My first degree, I wrote the exams at UCT, the campus here at the Orange Street. And we kept apart, color-wise. UCT asked us to leave. We went to Goodwood, kept apart. Second degree, kept apart. And it was while doing that first degree that I came in contact with the space. And that was a public space, like exams are public spaces, in the sense that they use public venues. And then I realized, but this is different. This is like the Little Haven meeting at the Athenaeum with the Argo Film Circle on a larger scale. That there are more people coming. That people actually are there to let you co-experience what's happening on stage, why they show certain plays. You can ask those actors and directors why they show certain plays, especially when you question Brian years later, and Brian would tell you these are the relevant things that we have to do to conscientize our country. But we're in Cape Town. So we conscientize in Cape Town. And that meant I'm being conscientized as well, as an individual. And this all meant that my eyes were opening more and more to the possibility that the New South Africa, or however you want to term it, would come in my lifetime. It would. And I wanted to be part of that using who I am. So yes, it did. Obviously, it did make a big change, and it made a big influence on my life and gave me an outlet for it, helping to realize who I am and the role I could play.
Did it give you hope for the future of South Africa?
Oh yes, because then the space, some people are not going to like this perhaps, but the space in a way spurned the market theatre, spawned the market theatre, I would say. And also then you found the Baxter coming up as well. Also a public space, but somewhat protected by the arm of UCT. And you thought, if they can do it, if they could do it, and it's open to the public, and we've done it here already, open to the public, but we still have to be careful. So that's another place opening. You understand what I mean? It's another place opening. And people just start in the end, taking their lives to their own hands despite the laws. So the space was integral to that burgeoning of lovely spots, lovely places where people met and shared together.
Did the people you exposed to the space, I mean, did you notice a change in their thinking after you had brought them to the space?
Yes. Till today. Yes. Wow, why do I say till today? Because they think back with a fondness, why can't we have something like that now? And what they mean now is that why can't a place that is not going to charge them the earth, that's the point, not going to charge them the earth, but is still producing relevant works to them. And not be afraid to speak about the nowness of things, not going back over time, but the nowness of things. So it's very difficult to find, I think, plays that are new and are many. There are new plays, no mistake, but there are few, and but there aren't that many to almost to allow each theatre complex here in Cape Town to almost entertain, challenge us about ourselves. Inevitably, we're gonna have one of those, one of the things I'm describing now, and a few extraneous plays. By extraneous, I mean overseas productions coming in.
What were the plays that you saw at the space that, in the time frame that you saw them, felt addressed them now?
Just them now, or just them
No,
then?
now in that time.
In that time.
In the time that you were living, you know, like the ones that truly were hitting the notes that needed to be hit.
Okay.
And how did they hit them? If
Okay. Because it's more the family life thing, situations that are attended by color, social class, So the family thing, the relationship things. So that will make many plays. Many plays. Long Day's Journey, Endgame, Glass House, Dickens Glass House.
What about the Fugard plays?
Thank you. Fugard. Now I'm talking about the ones that were done then. Hello and Goodbye. People are living there. There's another one. Busman and Leona, which we didn't do on the stage here, and we did it elsewhere. But the fact remains that it had Yvonne and Ethel himself. Medea. It's all about relationships and when they go wrong, what can happen. That play where a mother kills her own children because she can't have the husband that she wants. And it leads to killing off of the young girl who's going to replace her and the killing of her own children. Horrifying. The place like The Geese. Old setting, relevant. Then, relevant. Wanting to get rid of theatre because I spoke the truth. That was the geezer's thing, wanting to clamp down on theatre. What the classic Keith was done in the first space. What was it called now? Can't remember, sorry.
No, that's okay. Was there a moment, you know, that you remember from any of the plays, you know, that
I'll take John Winston's play. Suswi Banzi is Dead, where the two of them try to falsify the document, the Dompas, because somebody else's death is going to give this person who's going to take over Banzi's life, give him identity. And that's quite a thing. You're quite a thing. John Winston playing in the island, and where they assume the play of Antigone. You are told not to bury your brother. Your brother is a traitor. How can you go out and go and bury your brother? That's against the state law. But he's my brother. That theme that comes through. The willingness to die for what you believe. And the attachment of a relationship, the relationship between family, that could override the law of the country. Yeah. Guts. Austerity. Insight, compassion, loyalty, poor theatre. Humaneness. Love.
that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's tough, isn't it?
Okay. Okay.
And I'm looking at Percy now, and I'm thinking at you, Percy,
Well, you can mention that, you say.
and I'm thinking, I was sitting in the, I think it was in the top row, but it was so near, and here you are hitting Yvonne, and I'm thinking, that's not my father, it's my mother. And you know, yeah,
What is the play called?
Alpha Beta. Yeah, good grief. The violence in the relationships. Lots of love there, but also violence. Yeah.
We had a few bruises, Yvonne and I.
Yes, I know. You actually hurt a rib, or cracked a rib or something. Sure.
But you felt something there because of that was something.
Yeah.
So if you, can you verbalize that? Just
Yeah, you know, it's whenever I see scenes like that, it takes me back to that time. But then I also remember the resilience of people, especially my mother, her resilience And she did not always take it. Because one day she told him, if you touch me again, I will hit you. And he touched her again, and she hit him with a shoe on it, and he never ever touched her again. And I always felt just the liberation of women in my family started when my mother had to do that to stop what was happening to her.